Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel Text Talks. If you are interested in English literature or preparing for FPSC, lecturer, SET or other English exams, you are at the right place. In today's video, we are going to learn about the history of English literature. We will travel through different literary ages and discover their important writers, works and characteristics. So let's begin our literary journey. Old English or Anglo-Saxon period 450 to 1066. The first major period in the history of English literature is the Old English period, also known as the Anglo-Saxon period. It lasted approximately from 450 to 1066. The literature of this period was mainly heroic, religious, and oral. The most famous literary work of this age is Beowulf, which is considered the greatest surviving Old English epic. Important writers of this period include Cardamon, Cinewulf, and Bede. The language used during this period was Old English, which was very different from the English we speak today. Middle English period 1066 to approximately 1500. The next period is the Middle English period. It began with the Norman conquest of 1066. After the Norman conquest, French and Latin had a strong influence on the English language and literature. The greatest writer of this period was Geoffrey Chaucer, who is often called the father of English poetry. His most famous work is the Canterbury Tales. Other important works include Piers Plowman by William Langland and Sir Gawain, and The Green Knight by an anonymous poet. Renaissance period, approximately 1500 to 1660. Next comes the Renaissance period. The word Renaissance means rebirth. It was a period of renewed interest in classical Greek and Roman literature, humanism, art, science, and learning. This period produced some of the greatest writers in English literature. Important names include William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, Edmund Spenser, Sir Philip Sidney, and Francis Bacon. William Shakespeare became the greatest dramatist of English literature. His famous plays include Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, and Othello. Christopher Marlowe is famous for Dr. Faustus. Edmund Spenser wrote The Faerie Queene. And Francis Bacon is famous for his essays. Puritan or Commonwealth period 1649 to 1660. The next important period is the Puritan or Commonwealth period. The most important literary figure of this age was John Milton. Milton was a great poet who wrote on religious and political subjects. His masterpiece is Paradise Lost, one of the greatest epics in English literature. Other important writers associated with this period include Andrew Marvell and John Bunyan. Restoration period 1660 to 1700. The Restoration period began in 1660 when Charles II was restored to the English throne. The literature of this period became more worldly, witty, satirical, and sophisticated. Theatre became very popular, particularly Restoration comedy. The leading literary figure of the period was John Dryden. Other important dramatists include William Congreve and William Wycherley. Augustan or Neoclassical Age, approximately 1700 to 1745. The next period is known as the Augustan Age or the Neoclassical Age. Writers of this period admired the literature of ancient Greece and Rome. They emphasized reason, order, balance, discipline, and correctness. The major writers include Alexander Pope, Jonathan Swift, Joseph Addison, and Richard Steele. Alexander Pope's famous poem is The Rape of the Lock. Jonathan Swift wrote the famous satirical work Gulliver's Travels. Addison and Steele are famous for The Spectator. Age of Sensibility approximately 1745 to 1798. Finally, we come to the Age of Sensibility, also called the pre-Romantic period. During this period, writers began to move away from the strict emphasis on reason and classical rules. They gave greater importance to emotion, feeling, imagination, nature, and individual experience. Important writers of this period include Thomas Gray, Oliver Goldsmith, Samuel Johnson, and Robert Burns. This period is particularly important because it prepared the way for the Romantic movement, and that is where our journey will continue in the next part, the Romantic Age. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Text Talks. For more videos on English literature and exam preparation, stay connected with us. Thank you for watching. Keep learning.